So one day, the old man from the village sees a young girl sad on the sidewalk and asks her, "Young girl, why are you so sad?" The little girl looks at him and says, "Why are so many people mad? Why are my parents always mad at me all the time?" The old man grabs a jar and says, "Every time I say a negative emotion, I want you to put a red ball in the jar. And every time I say a positive emotion, I want you to put a yellow ball in the jar. Can you do that?" The little girl looks at him and says, "Yes." So the old man says, "Anger, mad, upset, disappointed, upset, sad, frustrated, happy, mad, disappointed, upset, disappointed, upset, frustrated, angry, upset, overwhelmed, happy, glad, upset, mad, upset, sad, upset, sad, angry, upset, sad." The old man asked the little girl, "What color do you see the most in the jar?" The little girl says, "Red." So the old man looks at the girl and says, "The colors you experience the most as a kid are usually the colors you carry the most as an adult." You see, the problem is most of us are unconscious of our own emotional addictions. And because we're unaware and unconscious of this addiction, we actively participate, manifest, create our own emotional addiction cycles with the belief that it's the people that are causing the emotional reaction. It's the situation, that life is always happening to us and not by us. Do you follow? And so because we actively participate in these very specific behaviors, we're actually creating the emotional cycles in our life. So we experience anger all the time, every time we get into an argument with our spouse or coworkers. Maybe we experience the disconnection and reconnection every time we break up and make up with our partners. Maybe we constantly keep ourselves in shame and sadness when we play the victim role with people in our family. Maybe we're always feeling the anger and uncertainty when we call our friend to vent and complain. You see, if this happens to you often and you experience these emotions on a weekly or monthly basis, then maybe it's time for you to consider that maybe you are in fact addicted to your emotions and you could possibly be creating them. Does that make sense? See, when I was in my 20s, I had a girlfriend at that time for a few years. And because I was unaware and unconscious, I was actively participating in my own cycles. So we were always getting into arguments and then making up. We would be cool for a couple weeks and then we would get into these intense arguments, disconnect for a few days, and then we would reconnect, have amazing makeup sex, and then we would be all in love again. And this went on and on, week after week, month after month, year after year, until it finally ended. See, when it ended, all I could do was blame her. It's the easiest thing most of us do, is blame the other person for what happened, right? Now I realized that I was actually participating. I was actually engaging in the drama. I kept it going. I wouldn't let it go. So now I realize I was actually creating my own emotional cycles. Have you ever felt like this before? You see, this is happening because most of us grew up in chaos, in drama, in intense emotional environments from the way we were raised as a child. And because our parents never taught us how to process our emotional states, we grew up with dysregulated nervous systems. So it was okay to be in an intense state for most of our childhood. In fact, it became normal. So now you grow up as an adult and your body's seeking normal again, or it's an interpretation of what normal is. So if being angry all the time was part of your family social dynamics, then your body's actually seeking that angry emotion right now as an adult. If you grew up playing the victim role, or you were always in a sad state, then those are emotions. Then your body's actually seeking those emotions right now as an adult. Does that make sense? So think about it like this. Imagine a lion in the wild and she's with their baby cubs and another animal comes near the den. What does the lion do? She roars, she screams, she makes loud noises. She does whatever it takes to show the other animal that she's ready to defend her family. She's ready to throw down. Now, just imagine if this happened every single day. But let's not stop there. Just imagine if this happen 3 times a day, every single day. So if this happened every day, wouldn't roaring and screaming and making loud noises become normal behavior? So imagine when the baby cubs grow up. How do you think they react? How would you think they would react when they feel threatened? They're gonna roar, they're gonna scream, they're gonna throw dishes across the room, they're gonna, wait a minute, are we still talking about the baby cubs? No, the baby cubs would react exactly like their mama and papa would. But humans would never react like their mama and papa would, right? Humans would never seek out friends or coworkers or partners or spouses or relationships that would allow them to recreate their same emotional environment when they grew up. Would they? You see, the real problem isn't what keeps triggering you in the outside world. The real problem is that you're not aware of what your emotional addictions are. And because you're not aware of these addictions, you're actively participating, creating, and manifesting these emotional roller coasters in your life just so you can get that emotional hit. Does that make sense? So think about it. What have these emotional roller coasters in your life cost you? The failed relationships, the constant struggles with your spouse or your partner, the constant drama with your friends and family and coworkers, the constant feelings of shame and regret for saying the things you shouldn't have said, doing the things you shouldn't have done. What has it cost you in your life? Think about that right now. Now think about this. Is this where you want your life to be 5 years from now? 10 years from now? So when are you going to do something about it? So really quick, before we get into the lesson, go ahead and drop a comment below and let me know where you've been stuck in this emotional cycle of your life. Go ahead and do that now. Okay, so let's break down the emotional addiction cycle that we've been talking about. When we're talking about emotional addiction, we're talking about 3 things. There's a trigger, there's a behavior, and there's a payoff. Or any kind of addiction for the most part. Whether you're addicted to, I don't know, you're an adrenaline junkie, you like skydiving, you like surfboarding, whether you're addicted to gambling, drugs, emotions, addicted to love, I'm not knocking any of them. I'm just saying we all go through some kind of addiction in our life. An addiction cycle has a trigger, a behavior, and a payoff. The trigger is what starts it. If we're talking about sugar, the trigger can be a craving, or maybe you saw an ad on TV for ice cream or cookies, and suddenly you start craving sugar. I want something sweet. The behavior is what you do to get the payoff. So behavior for going back to sugar is going to the store to buy cookies or going to an ice cream shop to go get ice cream. That is the behavior. The payoff is what you get out of it. What is the emotional hit? What is the good feeling that you get out of the behavior caused by the trigger? Okay, so let's reverse engineer this so we can better understand the process of what happens. The payoff is what we get addicted to. Normally what we're addicted to is the altered state. That an altered state is something that's not normal. So going back to the adrenaline junkie, if you're an adrenaline junkie and you want to go skydiving, obviously you want to jump to get that adrenaline hit, that excitement, right? Which is totally different than a normal state of being, which is where I'm at right now, where you're at watching this video right now. If we break down sugar, what sugar does in the brain is it releases dopamine. Dopamine is the pleasure chemical. It is the reward behavior of the brain, the pleasure reward chemical in the brain. So what the brain does is when you have a positive behavior, it likes to reward it by releasing dopamine so you feel good. Sugar hijacks that. As soon as you eat sugar, the brain releases dopamine. Same thing when you have sex, same thing when you do drugs. The brain is releasing incredibly high amounts of dopamine, which causes you to feel good, which causes you to alter your state. So we become these chemicals that the brain releases, causes us to feel altered states, and that's what we become addicted to, right? So if we break down drugs, drugs are chemicals. These chemicals, some of them actually cause you to release huge amounts of dopamine, but really what the chemical is doing is altering your state, which is what we become addicted to, right? So dopamine is a chemical. Emotions are a set of hormones, peptides, and chemicals in the brain that the brain releases so we can feel something. Depending on what happens out here, the body releases hormones, the brain releases chemicals, the chemicals cause the body to release hormones, and then we feel a certain way. Those emotions alter our state. If you get mad, if you get excited, Christmas time when you open the presents, what happens? You get all excited, right? You altered your state. The presents alter our state. So we look forward to holidays, we look forward to the Christmases, we look forward to the birthdays because we want to feel good. We want to alter our state. When we're talking about emotional addiction, however, what the body becomes addicted to, like we talked about, are the emotions that you grew up with. Your childhood emotions, what you felt most of the time, is what your body and mind perceive as normal. When your body perceives emotions as normal, we become our emotions. That is a huge statement. Being angry becomes who we are. Being sad becomes who we are, right? There's no thought process. There's no reaction. There's nothing that has to happen on the outside for us to feel it because this is who we are. So our mind and body recreate experiences, situations, so we can feel the emotions. Our mind attracts people and situations so we can recreate our childhood emotions. Think about that. Okay, so the second part of the addiction cycle is the behaviors. Behaviors, when it comes to emotional addiction, has three parts. The behavior, the action and the behavior. What are you doing to get the emotional hit? The payoff is the emotional hit that the behavior is seeking. And when it comes to emotional addiction, it's also fulfilling a secondary benefit. It's a psychological need, which makes it even more addicting. So when people get angry, when you start to yell, drama, complaining, see, this is a behavior. This is an action you're taking in order to get the emotional hit. You start to yell, you have drama, you're complaining all the time. You feel the anger. I am now mad. If you're complaining, think about somebody you know that complains all the time. They don't complain softly. And so you know what the waiter did? No. Can you believe he was 15 minutes late and there was a hair on my plate, right? You're angry, but there's also a sense of significance. It makes you feel important that you said something, that you did something. And when you're complaining about an ex-boyfriend or an ex-girlfriend or one of your friends, yeah, and I told him this and I told him that, you're in your head. You're fulfilling a psychological need of significance and you're using the anger to get it. Follow? Let's talk about another action and behavior. When you're crying, when you're playing the victim, when you're telling your pity story, what emotional hit are you trying to get? Sadness, right? You feel sad. What's the secondary benefit of being sad? We see this in kids all the time. Attention. When you're a kid, if you got a lot of attention from being sad, you learned how to be sad in order to get attention. There's a psychological need there. You guys see that? Let's talk about another one. Overwhelm, overreacting, being worried causes you to feel stress, right? Is there a psychological need to feeling stressed all the time? Think about that. Think about somebody you know that's always stressed. What psychological need are they trying to fulfill? I'm gonna let you figure that out. So let's move on to the third one. What is the trigger? What starts all of this, right? When we were talking about sugar, the trigger could be the craving. I crave it. I saw something on TV. I saw ice cream. I saw, the Oreo cookie being dipped in the milk. So then triggered your behavior. I'm going to get up. I'm going to go get some cookies, or I'm going to go to the store. I'm going to go buy the cookies, and I get my payoff. I get my emotional hit of dopamine. Feel good, happy chemicals. So let's talk about how this relates to emotional addiction. The trigger when it comes to emotional addiction is we get caught up in a negative feedback loop. A feedback loop is something that, let me change the color so you can see it, something that reinforces itself, right? So let's talk about a boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, spouse. They do something that gets you mad. you feel emotions that get you mad. And because you're feeling this emotional feeling mad, you start to think more mad thoughts, right? What I'm gonna tell him, what I'm gonna tell her, this is what I'm doing. If she says that again, I'm gonna say that, which causes you to feel more mad. So we get caught up in this negative feedback loop. How do you know you're in it? Is when you spend a lot of thought thinking about everything they did wrong in that situation, right? And you start looking for reasons to get mad. Well, they did this, and then you did that, and then you said this, and you meant that, right? You get caught up in this feedback loop, and you are caught up in making them wrong because your mind is trying to validate your emotions. Now, your emotions are your emotions. You have the right to feel your emotions. The problem is when you get caught up in this negative feedback loop, it's just going to keep cycling itself, and it's hard to break. If you remember that video we did on how we create our reality, thoughts lead to feelings, lead to actions, lead to results. So if you get caught up in negative thoughts and negative emotions, how does that affect your actions and your behaviors? Negative thoughts, negative emotions, negative actions, negative behaviors. That negative behavior can be used with the anger, with sadness, with stress, which then gives us our altered state. What altered state are we talking about? Generally speaking, if you look back at somebody who's always mad, they had anger issues growing up, the dominant emotions in their life. If you look at somebody who's played the victim role their entire life, they're always sad. They're always telling you what went wrong and this happens. And why doesn't life go good for me? Why does this always happen to me? They're stuck in a victim role. And I almost guarantee you that when they were a child, they were caught up in a victim state all the time. It became who they were. So we become our emotions. Because emotions are hormones and chemicals, we can become addicted to our emotions, which means when we're feeling normal, our body is actually seeking that addiction, that emotional hit that we perceive as normal. So we will recreate our behaviors, we will recreate our childhood emotions. In fact, we will attract partners, boyfriends, girlfriends, spouses, husbands, wives, that allow us to recreate our emotions. So how do we break this? Now we built some awareness, right? Now maybe you're understanding a little bit of what's going on inside you. So how do we break the emotional addiction cycle? The first step is awareness, which is what you're doing with this video. I'm now making you aware of the process of how you can be living in an emotional roller coaster, in an emotional cycle of your life. So step number one is be aware. Be aware of what's happening. So the next time you get triggered and you start falling down that line or you start going into your negative feedback loop, you need to catch it. If you don't catch it, you are caught up in the outside world. You're continuing to blame the outside person, the situation, the event on why you feel the way you do instead of backwards. So when you become aware, it creates choice. Awareness creates choice. No awareness puts you into autopilot, into that pattern of automatic. Whatever you grew up reacting, thinking, feeling, just that's where you're gonna go until you have awareness. So let's say you get awareness. Let's say the next time you feel like you're getting triggered again and you're getting caught up in that anger and here we go. Now you have to break the pattern. Now you have to, with the choice of, do I keep reacting the way I do or do I pick another path? Do I make a different choice to behave differently? Not necessarily to feel differently, because by the time you feel it, it's too late. Your mind and body are already doing what it normally does, and it's gonna be pretty hard to break that consciously. The breaking becomes of you being aware of the cycle and not allowing yourself to go into that level 10 anger the way we normally do, right? So heal. What are the things we can do to heal? So we become aware that, hey, I might be addicted to my anger emotions. The next time it happens, you break the pattern. Okay, I'm not gonna react level 10. This time I'm gonna try to tone it down a little bit, or I'm not gonna engage. I'm gonna go that way instead of continuing to argue. And then we heal, okay? The healing is allowing yourself to experience the emotion without the behavior to justify the emotion. So there's a lot of things you can do to heal. That's another video. For starters, deep breathing in that moment, taking a walk, exiting the situation. You do that enough times, your mind's gonna start to understand that I do not have to react that way. I have a choice. And that's what starts the healing journey. Okay, so let's get into the next part. Okay, so this is what I want you to do for homework. I want you to journal, what is your emotional addiction, right? What was the primary emotion that you felt growing up? And be honest here, right? Then I want you to map out the cycle. What is the trigger? What is the behavior? And what is the payoff, right? What starts your cycle? What behavior do you generally fall into that allows you to feel that emotional payoff? And then I want you to describe the whole situation, the who, the what, the why, the where, the when, and the how. The more awareness you have to your emotional addiction, the stronger of empowerment of willpower that you will have to try to break free from it. The less aware or zero aware, all it does is keep you in that negative feedback loop. Okay? So think about this. Who do you know right now that can watch this video? Who do you know that can use this information to change their life or to take one step forward in their life? Listen, I know some of you may be feeling discouraged right now, frustrated, confused, maybe even sad, loss of hope. We all go through these stages in our life. No one is perfect. No one has this perfect life that we see on TV or on Instagram. We all have emotions that we have to deal with, including myself. What's important is that you're actually doing something about it. So if you're watching this video right now, if you're still watching this video right now, give yourself some recognition. Give yourself a pat on the back, because at least you're doing something to change your life. But just like everything else in life, change takes time. Change takes work. You can't exactly win a marathon by only training for 5 minutes, can you? Then you can't expect your life to change without putting in the work. Anything is possible with the right amount of work and with the right amount of time, just like winning a marathon. You didn't give up on yourself when you were learning how to walk, did you? Then don't give up on yourself right now. Keep going, keep making progress every day. Can you do that for the rest of the year? So just imagine what your life can be like in 6 months once you put in the work. Imagine having that new life. Imagine having that new relationship. Imagine having a new set of emotions daily because you finally put in the work you needed to do to change your life today. Are you ready for a breakthrough in your life today? Are you willing to put in the work to get a breakthrough in your life? Then make sure you take action as soon as this video ends and implement everything we talked about here today. So here's the power phrase I want you to say with me today. I have the power to choose my behaviors. I have the power to choose my behaviors. I have the power to choose my behaviors. You see, affirmations control our focus and control our state of being. For the rest of this week, I want you to say this power phrase 10 times every day when you wake up and right before you go to sleep. Can you commit to that? Now that you know how to overcome and work on your emotional addictions, you can practice these strategies daily. Everyone knows that mastery is achieved by daily practice and discipline. However, by having a deeper level of awareness and understanding of why you feel the way you feel allows you to reach a whole new level of self-mastery in your life. If you're ready to reach that next level, then go ahead and text me at the number below, FREEMC, to get access to our masterclass free for the next 48 hours. Can you do that for me? And if you're not in the US or Canada, go ahead and click on the link below this video to get access to the masterclass anyways. Remember, if you like this video, then go ahead and subscribe to the channel so that you can get notified when we release our new mastery videos. And if you want my free life tips and strategies, then go ahead and follow me at my new social media accounts below so that you can get access to these immediately. That's it for today. Make sure you finish watching all 7 masterclass intro videos so that you can understand how your mind works and how to stop it from sabotaging you in life. Thank you for watching. Namaste. Bro. Woosa. Bro, you're fucking with my chi. That's the beat right there. Hey guys, thanks for staying until the end. Make sure you follow me at the Instagram below to get my free daily life strategies. Click on the subscribe button right there. Make sure you finish watching the Masterclass series over here. And if you're ready for the Masterclass today, go ahead and text me at the number below so I can text you back that download link. Are you ready for a breakthrough? Okay, let's get it.